Hello and welcome back to the Checkpoint Reach podcast. This is a gaming and occasional movie news podcast. We hope you've had a great new year. This is our first one of the year and we're looking forward to it. And I'm joined by my friends and fellow gamers, Sud, Perks and Matty. How are you doing, guys?
Good, Luke. Very good. How are you? Happy New Year.
Oh, thanks, mate. Happy New Year to you too. How are you two doing? Sud and, Matty and Perks even. Already talked to Sud.
Yeah, I'm good. New year, new me and all that.
New year, new suicide plans.
As always, a brightener to my day when I talk to you, Mike. And we're also joined by a newbie, a new guest today. His name's Ted Parry. How are you doing, Ted?
Hey, yeah, I'm good, thanks, mate. Very well. New year, new me as well.
Good. I'm guessing it's all new year, new us.
That's right.
It is.
Yeah.
Yep.
The classic. Did we get up to anything decent for New Year?
No, not really.
A lot of wine, a lot of chocolate.
Yeah, tons of chocolate. Yeah.
I just find it an awkward time of the year. It's just like, I don't know, nothing is going on. I mean, it's just the perfect, all you're doing is just eating rubbish all day and just waiting for the new year to come around. That's the way I see it. Anyway, I get a bit twitchy when I'm not doing much. So,
Well, I guess maybe then just me who had the plans. I went down to London for it. And it was pretty good. Pretty good seeing those fireworks. That's for sure.
Yeah, it looked good from what I saw.
Yeah, it was a lot. Well, I thought it'd be good, but it was better than I thought.
It was that good I fell asleep watching them. So great stuff.
It's better when you're there.
I'm sure that's definitely the case.
Well, anyway, we'll get started with our first topic of the day. We're just going to look back, basically, with the previous year, 2018, and talk about our favourite games and potential movies, as well as gaming moments from the year. I'll start with my actual favourite game. I know we spoke a lot about them with the Game Awards, but my favourite game of the year, when I look back, has got to be Spider-Man. Something I really enjoyed playing, really enjoyed the story to it and the voice acting as well. That's the one that stands out for me as my favourite game of the year. How about you guys? Where do you stand with your favourite games of 2018?
Well, I think for me, I've said it loads of times now on this podcast, but I think we all know it's Red Dead. That's for me my favourite game of the year by quite a distance, I think, to be honest, to the next one. We've already spoke at length, haven't we, about how good it is and stuff. So I have a game I got for Christmas, actually, though, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I've got to say that.
How has that been?
Really good. It's a really, really good game. It's surprised me how good it is, actually.
Is it as grindy as people have made out?
It is quite grindy, but to be honest, it's the game that I most would say it's like is The Witcher 3. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not as good as The Witcher 3, but it's in terms of how the game plays and stuff and how it is, the systems and everything, it most reminds me of The Witcher. So they've clearly took a lot of inspiration from it.
I was going to say, if you were going to tell me it's as good as The Witcher 3, that's some high praise coming from you.
No, I wouldn't say it's as good as The Witcher 3. It's not on that level, but it's definitely very good. It's I am kind of glad I waited to play it because it's nice to have a game at the end of the year that you can play and stuff. But it's a fantastic game. I'd say that. I think it'd definitely be in maybe my top 3 for game of the year for last year, to be honest. Possibly.
Am I right in saying that you're the only one who's played that game in the group?
I think so, as far as I'm aware. I don't think anyone else has played it.
Yeah, I haven't played it. Assassin's Creed died for me a long time ago, but
yeah,
you mentioned that it's had a bit of life breathed into
it's
it.
It's not even really like Assassin's Creed, though.
Yeah,
no. It's
changed it
completely different, to be honest. I mean, there is obviously
I don't
still...
know, man. I think it's a long way off for me to return to that series, but it's good to know that it's doing well again. But yeah, it was left a long time ago. in the past for me.
I'm with you there, Perks. I played Assassin's Creed 3 and that killed it for me. But however, if this one is as good as Sud says, maybe when it goes down in value, I might try it.
I'd definitely try it if it goes cheaper. I think you'd actually like it, Luke, to be honest.
Well, you haven't really led me astray with many recommendations, to be fair. So I'll probably take that on board. How about you, Perks? I know you were getting Red Dead for Christmas. Have you got around to playing any of it?
Yeah, I did get it, but I haven't actually got around to play it yet, which is strange given the quality of the game, I'm sure. Spyro was another game that I've picked up recently that I haven't had a chance to play, which obviously wouldn't be Game of the Year, but something I'm looking forward to jumping back into from all those years ago. I think
I did actually. Sorry, that is one more thing. I did actually start Spyro as well, but I've played it literally for like 2 hours, so I can't really comment too much on it so far.
Yeah, I think it'll just be a few hours here and there anyway. It's not going to be a major game for me, but I don't know. I think I'll go a little bit left field on this one and say that my favourite game that I played in 2018 was probably A Way Out. Just
good selection.
Because it was different, it was fun. Oh, well, you know.
I thought it was going to be edgy, cool, wrecked it. So, yeah, to be fair, we did both play it.
We did play it together as well, so I guess that it's allowed. But yeah, I think in terms of coming away from, you know, your God of Wars and Spider-Man's, Red Dead Redemptions, A Way Out was something different, something unique. It did have a few things that we've seen before, but you know, in different games. But to bring it all together and put it into the same thing worked a treat. And I hope we see more stuff like that in 2019 and years to come.
I'm surprised it's not Black Ops 4, to be honest, Perks.
So, I thought you'd say that was one.
40,000 hours.
Black Ops 4, the new Destiny, right? But
surely that'd have to be a close second. I mean, for me, I think actually...
I'm enjoying playing it, but it's not my... I wouldn't say it's the game that I've enjoyed the most in the year.
When I think about it now, though, when you think about it, we've played that game more than any other game. Well, maybe not you, Perks, with Destiny, but I think... Well, me and Luke, anyway, definitely, I'd say it's probably our most played game this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think. I mean, and to be honest, you know, you say, oh, well, it's only one mode in the game, but to be honest, we've had that much fun on it. We've played it so long, you could argue it's possibly...
Do you know what?
Like to specify, we're literally only playing Blackout. I know, me personally, I've barely touched zombies or the actual multiplayer side of things, but Blackout itself is definitely a game that's holding me, so long may it continue, really.
It's weird, though, when you talk about... You mentioned Blackout then. I completely forgot to add it to my list of favourite games, even though I really did enjoy it.
Yeah, I did as well. That's what I mean. Like, you don't even think about that as one of the games of the year, I suppose, because it's like, it's just one mode of a game, but we have played it a lot and we've really enjoyed it. So
yeah, we've definitely got our money's worth. How about you, Matty and Ted? You guys, what's your favourite game?
Well, I was quite late to the party with Red Dead because I waited till Christmas for that. I had a few games that I was playing, so I just thought I'll just leave it till then. And so far that's just been brilliant. Yeah, just loved it. Absolutely loved it. So I'd say, as I said, I haven't really had as much experience playing it as probably you guys have and been able to comment as much. But
how far are you in?
I think I'm about 25-30%, which is not bad considering I've obviously only really had a week plus to sort of play it. But
it's a long game as well. It is a long game, so
yeah. So I've got to the bit where basically you have to save someone from Blackwater because he's been sort of held hostage there. So it's just sort of where the game is. I feel like it's just really only now starting to open up because obviously when you first start, you're just in that bit where you're just in your camp and you're just learning the basics, aren't you, really, of how to get going. But now it's really starting to open up. And I just had like one of those like gaming moments where you think, wow, like this is like anything can happen on the game. Like I was playing the other day and I was being hunted by like bounty hunters. And I set up like a tent right next to the river because basically I was like crossing over to Blackwater because I had like a massive bounty over there. I was like, and every time I'd went over, like I'd basically start getting shot straight away. So I was like, right, I'll just rest up here. And basically I woke up in the middle of the night, then like go and cross. And like bounty hunters, like, because I was like situated underneath a ridge, and then I got that like icon, like the music changed, like the whole like the tenseness like built up in the game because like obviously I had those bounty hunters after me, And just basically, like, they were looking over the ridge. So then I flanked them, went behind them, killed them. And then, like, I was, like, looking at my radar. I was like, what the hell? There's, like, 2 more, like, blips, like, coming after me. So I turned around, and there was, like, 2 wolves, like, chasing after me. And literally, it was, like, movie, like, cinematic, like, killed, like, the first one. And then, like, the second one got within, like, a foot of, like, getting me. And then I killed it. And it was just, like, one of those moments on a game where you're just like, wow, like, that could have been in a movie, like what just happened then. So I don't know, just like moments like that make the game my game of the year, I'd say. Like, as I said, it's brilliant. Just like stuff that you don't expect. When you don't expect stuff to happen, and you're just like, wow, that's just like crazy. Yeah, I just love stuff like that.
Yeah, it definitely is a brilliant game, and it can throw up a lot of different scenarios, that's for sure. How about... Oh, go on, Sud.
I was just going to say to Ted, I know you played Spyro extensively. What were your thoughts on that? Now that you've, I guess you've finished all 3 of them, so you might just have an opinion on them.
Yeah. Well, being honest, I was so excited to play Spyro because Spyro, believe it or not, was my first. It was one of my first PlayStation games, I think. Because I remember playing it in like Curry's or PC World when they were like quite popular, and I was just like I remember like pestering my dad like, oh, I really want that game. And basically it was one of my favorite like PlayStation 2 games of all time, like Spyro 2. Yeah. So when I went back to it, I was just like, the first few levels I was just hit with nostalgia, like loved it. But then as the game went on, I just found it so grindy. Like, I'm not even joking. It sounds bad, but I was playing the levels just to get them done. I was just going through the motions, basically. There was no level of challenge. There was no enjoyment. No enjoyment, nothing new.
Yeah, that is... I don't know. I've only played the first, like, maybe 6-7 levels of the first Spyro, but it seems very easy. I don't know if it gets any harder as it goes on, but it seems a bit too easy, to be honest.
You see, that's the really disappointing thing, because it gets a little bit harder, but it just is like just too easy. It's too easy to play, and honestly, you can complete a lot of the levels in 10 minutes just by sprinting.
Yeah, they're very short, aren't they?
Very short levels, and it gets better when you get to Spyro 3. There's a lot more like mini games involved where Hunter sort of gets involved, and you do like skateboarding, like skills and challenges. Like, they're cool, but I just still think that as you get older, it kind of ruined the nostalgia for me. And it sounds bad to say that, because when I played Crash, that enhanced the experience, but playing Spyro, unfortunately, it kind of ruined like my memories as a kid, just how easy it was. So,
I think out of the 2 remakes, I think Crash is probably for most people a superior one anyway, I would say.
I was just about to bring up Crash, actually. I really enjoyed Crash. I never really liked Spyro as a kid, but I definitely played a lot of Crash. And when I played that game, I got a good levels of enjoyment out of it. I know Perks did as well, to be fair, if I recall.
Yeah, I played that game for quite a long time. I got stuck on 98% of Crash 1, though, which was quite frustrating.
So hard.
That was actually
some of the stuff on that game
threw me away from the game in the end. But yeah, it was a really good remake, and you guys know that I'm not the biggest advocate of remakes and remasters, but that was one that definitely succeeded, so I was pleased to see that.
To be honest, when they're done like that, though, I was going to say, when they're done like that, they are, like you said, they're more than remakes almost. They're almost just new games, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I was going to say the same. I think you speak for all of us when we say we're not massive fans of remakes or remasters, but sometimes you can hit a home run with something like that. How about you, Matt? We haven't heard yet from you what your favourite game of the year was.
Well, I was going to say A Way Out, wasn't I? And Perk stole it.
I stole it,
yeah. just because it's one of those games where I feel like I can remember every part of the game. It was only a short experience, so obviously it's got the advantage in that regard as compared to something like Red Dead. You're not going to play it for 80 hours and remember every second. But I feel like in 5 years' time, if someone says, oh, A Way Out, have you played that? I'll be able to still visualize, the memories of the game, how much I enjoyed the game. Whereas with Red Dead and God of War and stuff, there was some really, really emotional and brilliant moments in the game, but a lot of it just sort of seeps away in a weird way. I think I was just, even though A Way Out was a short game, I was thoroughly engaged for that like 5-6 hours. And by no means do I think that that's the best game of 2018, but in terms of like my favourite game, that's the one that's up there.
Yeah, that is a brilliant game. I think we all agree with that. I mean, I played Ted.
I obviously played that with you, didn't I, Luke? So, I mean, we had good fun with that. That was a good game. That was different, as they said, and just offered something else, really. So
I think it's the unique mechanic of it being split screen. You know, not a lot of games offer much innovation, and like all of the innovation is obviously done in the smaller sort of indie spaces. And obviously, A Way Out, like it was an indie game. The graphics weren't amazing and stuff, but it was quite a risk, really. I'm surprised that EA took it, to be honest, especially EA of all places. But you know.
And that's the thing, that there's not enough of those co-op experience games, which I personally love. I personally love co-op games where you actually have to play with a friend. I mean, and actually have to do a story, because everything is just so multiplayer focused. Which, yeah, obviously you've got Blackout, which is great, but then I miss part of those, like, you know, story mode co-op games, split screen.
Local couch co-op is something that has died over the last like 5 to 10 years, but I think it's because, well, the excuse that you'll hear from developers is because I know it was like this with Halo 5, is that the machines are already running at full capacity, and you know it's too much of a strain on the engine to be split screen, because obviously you need to be rendering sort of 2 scenes at once but on the same console. But I just think it's a load of rubbish. I think they just can't be bothered to do it. But there is still like a call in for split screen co-op, I think.
The Way Out, though, that the last sort of 45 minutes to an hour of that game was so good. Like, I thought it was a little bit slow in places, the game at times, but the last hour, 45 minutes made it.
Yeah, the whole game was
so fun.
Like the game as a whole, was rough around the edges. It was like all the mechanics of it. It wasn't like, you know, fluid shooting or anything like that, but by no means. But just as an experience, as something that's a bit different, that sticks in my mind because of the innovation. And I think that just falls back to probably why you didn't enjoy Spyro in a way, Ted. It's just the same old tired formula.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no real story to Spyro so far, from what I can tell either. It's literally like you could literally have the game on mute and just play it, and it wouldn't make much difference.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. There's times where I would like listen to a podcast while playing Spyro, because I mean,
it's funny actually you say that, Ted, because I think when I've seen a few reviews, I've actually heard people saying that they've just like listened to music while playing it and listen to podcasts, because that's that sort of game where you can just chill, I suppose.
You don't need to be fully invested in that sort of game, do you?
No, I wouldn't say that that's a negative, though, guys. Like that shouldn't be held against the game. That a game like Spyro doesn't have a story that, you know, makes you really invested in it and focused on it. It should be an easy play, and you should be able to distract yourself with other things at the same time with a game like that.
No, I agree. I was just saying that's, you know, that is why people can listen to things. There is a space for that, but unfortunately, the space that we would prefer seems to be dying out, like Matty said.
The problem is, though, Perks, is that after you've played the first one and the nostalgia is fully worn off, it just becomes a little bit grindy after that, where, you know, with that easy to play game. I think the mistake I made was I played through all 3 very quickly within the space of a week or 2, and I think that ruined it. I think maybe if I took it a bit slower and just like sort of just used it as a game to like sort of go and play when I don't really have anything else to play, or I just want an easy to play game, I probably would have got a bit more enjoyment out of it. But because I took it so seriously and tried to complete it quickly, I think it ruined it in that sense. It became grindy.
That's it. Sorry, I was just going to say with Ted's point, that's a good point, because when I played it for the first couple of hours, after 2 hours, I was kind of burnt out, like, right, I don't want to play any more of this today, because it's like, that was it for me after that 2 hours. I was like, I'm happy to wait now for a few days to play it again, because like you said, it's a very repetitive game, which, you know, is not a bad thing. You know, games in that era were quite repetitive like that, but
yeah,
I don't think it's a game you can. I know you did do it, Ted, but I think it's probably best not to try and play it for, you know, 4, 5, 6 hours in a row, because you're just going to get completely burnt out on it.
Or if you do want to listen to it or play it, for 4 or 5 hours in a row, you can always just listen to the Checkpoint Reach podcast while you play.
Shameless plug.
Lovely plug.
Listen
to the soothing sound of
You're going to see a spike in Spyro sales now.
They'll be through the roof.
Well, to be fair though, it's a good point. Like, I think you can get burned out pretty quickly with that sort of game if you do play like that. Like with Crash, obviously very similar. I never played it. I don't know. I didn't really play it consistently. I'd play it for like an hour here, an hour there, and I got a lot of enjoyment out of it as a result.
I feel like some game formulas hold up. Like Crash is a platformer. I always feel like platform gameplay stands the test of time more than I know Spyro is technically you could call it a platformer in a way. I mean, it's not.
It's more of an open platformer,
it's kind of
isn't it?
fixed levels, but it's these type of games. I feel like they probably should have give it a sort of injection of fresh new game mechanics as well, kind of like what they did with Ratchet and Clank. Like Ratchet and Clank, the reboot was really,
that's
really
a great
good.
game. Yeah, that was.
But it's like they brought in elements from modern gaming as well, just to sort of, enhance it a little bit.
Give it a fresh feeling.
Yeah. I don't think just a fresh coat of paint was enough for Spyro, because I don't think the gameplay held up anyway to begin with. I think it was just looked at as one of those sort of nostalgic games that you go back to, and then it's like, actually, this isn't very good. I kind of found that with Tomb Raider. Like, I went back to the old Tomb Raiders, and it's just like absolutely shocking to play now.
Oh, I remember the gameplay being awful.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
The controls would be on terrible with Tomb Raider, though. So there's no surprise.
Even back in the day, the controls were bad.
Yeah.
Even like Metal Gear Solid. I remember the other month I loaded up my PS3 and I went back and played Metal Gear Solid because it's got PS1 emulation on the PS3, and I just couldn't control the game. I didn't even know what was going on. It's just it felt so alien to me to control a 3D character with a D-pad. I was just like, I couldn't do it.
That's why we need a remake of
walking
1.
in the wrong direction. Yeah,
we really need that remake of Metal Gear Solid 1. They should do that. It sells so well.
It's one of the best games of all time, in my personal opinion.
That would sell in bucket loads. That would sell maybe more than any remake has been, to be honest. Because that game, I mean, people love that game, don't they? And if they can update the controls and make them more like... I mean, can you imagine Metal Gear Solid 1 but with Metal Gear Solid 5's controls? It'd be amazing.
It would be.
So
I'd definitely buy that remastered or remake.
Yeah. So...
Do any of us have any gaming moments from the year? So it doesn't have to particularly be a game itself, but, any quotes or, people on stage maybe?
Microsoft's E3 was pretty good, wasn't it? They had a pretty good E3, to be fair.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you'd class it as a moment, but I think their E3 conference was one of the better ones they've had in recent years. They announced some good stuff, so...
Well, it's definitely better than 2017.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a tough one, that gaming moments, I suppose. I mean...
I've got one. I think it isn't really a gaming moment, but I think the theme of 2018... Like we've been through this a lot of times, but like the overriding theme of 2018 for me has been single player ain't dead, because you hear Ubisoft, single player games are dead and all this garbage, and this has been like one of the strongest years for single player games in recent memory, and they've all sold well as well. So it's nice for the industry to be giving a big middle finger to these idiots who just think that online is the only way to make money.
Yeah, and it's not. I mean, I really love single player games. I like having my mix, an online game if I need it, and a good single player game if I want that. So I definitely think it's been a great year for single player games, like you said.
It's strange as well, like Matt, you were saying about like Ubisoft, one of the developers saying about single player, but it's like their 2 best-selling games of the year are both in single player, Far Cry and Assassin's Creed. So I don't know why they're saying that. To be honest, it's very strange. If it wasn't for them games, they'd be,
Like, they're really pushing digital as well, Ubisoft.
Yeah, that's true.
They want to get rid of physical. I suppose if you're looking at market trends and stuff, like, yeah, the highest grossing games, the ones that are making the most money, are obviously online. And obviously it's great if you've got an outlay of 200, 300 million to make a game plus advertising costs. It's obviously more desirable to have a continual flow of revenue over time, which you're going to get with like Fortnite and microtransactions. Obviously, with a single player game, it's more risky because you're going to get those initial sales at, £40-50 a pop, and then once it dies off, unless you're making, DLC or something like that for it, that's it. The money's pretty much dried up for that game, and you don't get any more money in the pot. So obviously, it's more sort of attractive to developers to make online games, but I feel like the market's really saturated, and I think that yes, a lot of online games make a lot of money, but there's also a lot of online games that literally nobody plays, and you look at the population count and it's like 500 people because everyone's playing Overwatch, everyone's playing Fortnite. It's a hard market to break into, so I feel like people should be taking more chances on single player just in general, because there's more sort of room in the market for single player games. There's a lot more people who are willing to take risks with their money and spend 40 quid on a bit of a risky game or something that they think, hey, I might like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing I've always thought as well with it is say God of War as an example, that clearly has made nothing compared to something like Fortnite, but it's still probably made a good profit for Sony and a good profit for the developer. So to me, what's the problem? I mean, they're not making billions or whatever, but they're still making money. So, and at the end of the day,
the problem is greed, isn't it? Though,
you're right. I mean, greed. Yeah, that is. I think mainly on the publisher side, I'd imagine it's the greed factor. But I think not everything can be something that sells makes 2 billion or something. There's going to be things that make 100 million, 50 million, 150 million. But there's nothing wrong with that as far as I'm concerned.
No, I'm with you. There's definitely a place in the market for all types of games. I just
and I think Sony realised this though as well. I think Sony realised, especially Sony. I think Microsoft to a certain extent as well, but I think Sony, especially with their single player games, they realise that the God of Wars and Spider-Mans are not going to make trillions, but they're going to make enough money, and they complement the other games, don't they? But I think Sony would look at it as in, we've got Fortnite on our platform, they've got PUBG now on their platform, games like Overwatch that make tons of money, but these single-player games make us money and they keep the user base happy. So that's the best of both worlds.
Definitely is. I'd definitely go along with that. Give me more story-driven games and I'd be a happier man in the gaming world sense anyway. I also wanted to ask you guys what your favourite movie was of 2018.
Favourite movie of 2018?
I think we'll probably all have the same answer here. Yeah, it's Avengers for me as well. There's not even a close contender as far as I'm concerned.
I'm trying to think
of the movies.
Yeah, I mean, straight away it was Avengers Infinity War for me as well. I mean, what else? I can't remember going to the cinema and just thinking,
I've seen a few films.
That film is brilliant.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Avengers is the first one that comes to mind.
For me, I think Deadpool 2.
Yeah, I did go and see Deadpool 2.
I would personally say for me. I think Deadpool 1 was better just because it was so
I think the first one was better.
But I just love Ryan Reynolds. I just think he's brilliant. He's
he suits
so
that role so much. He suits it so well.
Yeah, he nailed the character, and I agree with you, Ted. Actually, it's a good shout. Deadpool 2 was good. I did prefer the first one as well, but in my of the year, I definitely put Deadpool 2 up there.
Yeah, definitely.
It's more the humour that I just really. I mean, look, I like the cinematic effects where, cars are being blown up and the bullets are firing and all that. But I just think just the way his character is. I think if you swapped any other person with like the Ryan Reynolds, it just wouldn't work. It's just that sarcastic sort of, and it's not cringy as well. I mean, I've watched a lot of sort of, it's under Marvel, isn't it? Is it? Yeah, Deadpool 2, yeah. And I've seen a few Marvel-esque movies and I just find them quite like cringy. Just the humour is just like almost family-friendly. Let's throw this in because we'll get a few laughs from the mum and dads and the kids. Whereas I felt like Deadpool 2, maybe it's just my age group as well, like being 26, maybe it just resonates with me more, like, sarcastic type of humour and the whole character, really. Because I'm the type of guy that I get attached to characters rather than storylines, and just I get more involved in the story. So, for example, The Punisher. That might have been at the start of this year as well, but that's not really a movie, but it's a series. But rather than the story, I got attached to The Punisher as a character. And that's just as an example. That's the way I view things. Anyway.
Seen a lot of yourself in the character.
Or just hoping that he comes for you.
Hoping he ends it.
Yeah, I think it was the start of this year, wasn't it? Black Panther was a really good film. I don't think many of you saw it, but
I've watched it.
That's garbage.
It's not.
No,
bad.
it's really good. I thought it was really good. I completely disagree. Sorry, Perks.
It's a crap story. It's a crap character. It's crap.
Oh,
No, I have to disagree
controversial
there.
Perkins.
Sorry.
You're taking
That
my
was
ball,
ve-
mate.
It's really not. Yeah, maybe you weren't in a good mood when you watched it, but it's a good film.
You know,
never in a
what
good mood,
film-
to be honest.
Yeah. To be fair, you know, what
Yeah,
film
you
I
don't
wasn't
like
in
many
a good
films
mood?
anyway.
I was not in a good mood when I watched Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom with Perks.
Yeah, oh
It
no,
made
that
me
was
so
terrible.
angry how bad it was.
Oh yeah, I agree. Yeah, actually,
Well,
there's
that
worst
bit
films
with
of the year.
the dinosaur looking at the boat. And then
Oh my god.
Well, to be
the thing
fair,
is-
that bit was quite heartfelt.
Yeah,
I like. What the hell was that film? Just what was going on? I don't
what was
even
like
know.
that? Yeah.
yeah,
Do
that
you
was
remember the
awful,
last?
wasn't
I
it?
don't want to ruin it if I'm not saying, but one of the last scenes with the little. Oh my god, it was so bad with the little
Yeah,
girl.
but you
at the
should
end.
ruin
Oh.
it because that's
Yeah,
a film that
it's
deserves to be
absolutely-
ruined. Fallen
Yeah.
Kingdom was the biggest missed
Well-
opportunity in the Jurassic Park sort of franchise. It was shit. It was terrible.
I mean, okay, this is a spoiler alert for anyone that hasn't seen it, but at the end, basically, I can't remember what happened a little bit before it, but basically, the girl basically decides, oh, she's going to save the dinosaurs, even though the rest want to kill them, even though they're supposed to be protecting them, which makes no sense that they'd want to kill them off. But yeah,
I disagree. I think they should have just gassed them all.
yeah, but I mean, what? Yeah, but But why were they so convinced? Like we have to do it, and then because the little girl said no, they all just went, oh, okay. Because the little girl said we can't do it, then we won't. It's one of the most ridiculous.
It's cliched and horrible.
Terrible.
It's a
The worst thing is,
disaster.
there's going to be a sequel as well because it sets one up at the end
yeah.
of the bloody film.
Yeah.
And how
Well,
bad
it
was
makes
it?
money,
How bad
doesn't
was the part where that guy just got, was it the old man or whatever, the one that was in the first one, just got killed off, and it's like, why are you killing him off? No one wants that. What's that about? Just some random guy that just kills him. It's like, oh, that's nice. Like
It was
I
a
just-
miss. Like Jurassic World itself was decent, but Fallen Kingdom as a follow-up was just such a downgrade.
There was no like sort of new scenery or anything. It was just like they were just around the house, like that guy's mansion,
oh, it's so bad.
and then the park, and then that was it. I mean, for me, you want to like see different parts of like the island or just different scenery, just like how Jurassic Park 2 and all the others would do so brilliantly. They're just being like the story would change like constantly, and you'd be in different areas, but it just felt like stagnant, like they were just in the house the whole time or
It's
something.
the same thing that what happens when you make the same game over and over and over again. When you start making the same films over and over and over again, they just get progressively worse because you can't continue the quality. You've always got that. You're fighting a never-ending battle against people who've seen the old films and look at them hold them up in such high regard with such a massive amount of nostalgia. The same things happen to Star Wars. I fear that in 5 years, 10 years time, we're all going to be sitting here and we're going to hate Star Wars and we're going to hate Jurassic Park and we're going to hate all the films that we liked when we were kids because they just won't stop making them.
That's true. Yeah.
Well, another thing as well is that film was pretty much just dinosaur abuse for half the film. All I remember seeing is like, no, seriously, it was literally
Just
like
out for charity.
No, but I know it's not really that, but I've just been like, why they just made it out as if like these people were supposed to want to be cruel to them. They were just like prodding them with like electric sticks all the time. And it's like, what the hell am I watching?
It's funny you
What
should
is
say
this?
that actually, because I remember
Like-
turning to Matty after we came out of the cinema and said that was literally a film about like animal awareness and
Yeah,
animal cruelty
and it's like-
and stuff. Like, it was almost like you were
Yeah,
supposed
it
to
was.
watch it and take it into the real world and think,
Save the
we
It was
shouldn't
depressing.
treat
It was a
our-
depressing film
Yeah,
to watch.
I don't know if they
It
got.
wasn't.
I really don't know if they've got the message, but I think it's a bit too late to save the dinosaurs.
But I mean, you come out of that film literally like depressed because it's like, well, there's nothing positive in that film. What was positive about that film? It was a
Well, it
terrible
ended.
ending. There was literally like dinosaur abuse. I mean, what am I supposed to get from that film? It was bad, really bad.
Well, I haven't seen that film yet, and I don't think I will.
Don't watch it. You won't like it.
I heard from you guys at the time that it was terrible, so it put me off going to watch it, to be honest.
Yeah.
However, considering we've been talking about it, that does bring me on to one of the other bits of topics I wanted to talk about, which was our biggest disappointments of 2018 with either games or movies. I mean, obviously now Jurassic Park's in there.
Yeah.
Another one for me is Solo. I mean, I didn't expect it to be good, but it just added to the bad film. Actually, it's not that bad of a film, but underwhelming Star Wars films of late. It added to it.
Didn't even watch it.
Boring, wasn't it?
It was.
But me and you went to go and watch that, and I think we were both falling asleep during the middle part of it.
Yeah, it was hard, wasn't it? It didn't even feel like a Star Wars film.
No. This is the problem now. I mean, I just didn't even want to go and watch it, because that's how much like the Last Jedi last year was so bad, and I hated it so much that my enthusiasm for the Star Wars franchise. I mean, I 5 years ago, if someone said to me, you won't go and watch a Star Wars film, I'd have been like, yeah, as if.
Yeah.
But I genuinely don't care about that film. I don't care about ever watching it either. I just have no enthusiasm for it anymore.
Yeah, I skipped Solo as well, and I don't feel like I've missed out based on what you guys have told me about it. It's not a film I need to watch.
No. I mean, compare that to Rogue One. Was actually a really good Star Wars film, but
I tell you what, though, as well,
I don't think this is
what came out of that film that was terrible was the way he got his name of Han Solo. He literally, Matty might have to correct me, but he was basically running to get onto his ship or something, and the Imperial officer asked him his name, and he was like, no, I don't have one or whatever, and he looked at him and went, you're on your own, Solo. And
it's so bad.
It was horrendous.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
It was like, no way.
It doesn't sound good at all.
It's like they think that people are like, it's almost like the script writers are writing it going, this will make the whole cinema laugh, and no one does, and it's just like dead silence and cringy.
Seriously, I just hope that whoever's directing Star Wars, whoever's in charge of the future of the whole series, everyone involved, as soon as this next film comes out in the year and that's done, and we've got this terrible trilogy over with, I hope everyone involved in this shambolic reimagination of the series just falls into the Sarlacc pit, because it's what they all deserve.
Pretty much.
Death by
It's
Sarlacc.
depressing as well. I mean, I suppose I know we're going off on a bit of a tangent here talking about Star Wars, but I mean, the first one, Episode 7, was actually pretty good, and it felt. I mean, Last Jedi was. It was like an old man at the top of the stairs, and he's all there dancing or whatever, and then the Last Jedi comes out, and that's him falling over. Pretty much, he falls down the stairs, and that's the Last Jedi down the stairs. So Episode 9 is probably going to be the scene where he's in the hospital or something like.
No, Episode 9 is his funeral. That's the most bad one.
Pretty much.
They're just cremating him and throwing his ashes on the floor.
Can I just say, though, before we move on, Force Awakens, I agree, was good, but someone in this group came out with the quote that Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, was better.
Yeah, and then tried to
I don't know who that
at a
was.
later date.
I don't know.
Can't think who that was.
Yeah.
To be fair, I retracted it very quickly after going back and watched the.
Because you watched Episode 1.
But
like a couple
what I
years
would
later.
say is that after I watched The Force Awakens for a second time, and then I had The Last Jedi to compare it to, I completely, like I said, I retract my comment, because The Force Awakens, in comparison to The Last Jedi, is worlds
Best film of all
apart in
time.
terms of quality. Yeah.
That's The Last Jedi.
So,
Jesus.
when we're talking about biggest disappointments of 2018, and I imagine we're going to move on to games now, can we just have biggest disappointments of 2018 minus Fallout 76, because that's the biggest abomination.
Even though none of us have played it,
No,
so it's
no.
quite funny actually.
None of us have played it. I've literally, I will never touch that game. It's been on offer for $24.99 at work for
I saw that.
6 weeks, and no one's buying it at all. I feel like they could put it down to naught, and people still wouldn't be buying it. You're going to have to start paying people to take it off our hands soon. It's that bloody bad.
God, are you still overstocked as well?
Yeah, I think everywhere is. Just shocking.
Yeah, that's been a massive disappointment. I mean, it's a big enough disappointment in itself that us
all of us haven't played it.
Yeah,
Sud
exactly.
has
We
probably
didn't buy
put
it.
about 1,000 hours into Fallout. I've played it. We've all
Yeah,
played
over the
every
years.
Yeah,
single
we've
one of
all
the
played
games.
Fallout to death.
And there's Fallout 76, and the premise is simple. hey, here's Fallout, and you can play it online with your friends. And we're friends, and we all like Fallout, and we don't want to play it.
Okay.
So it's failed.
That's failed, yeah. It has failed because I think all four of us in the past would have bought a single-player Fallout game, like pretty much, if not straight away, within the first 3 or 4 months of the game coming out, and none of us have bought this one. So
I don't think I will either.
Yeah, I can only imagine myself playing it when it goes down to literally like £5 or something. Because I don't.
There's no point though, because when it goes to that cheap, then there's going to be no one left. I mean, there's no one left anyway at this stage. So, but imagine by the time it goes to that,
Fallout fans. But apart from that, yeah,
it's just not going to be fun to jump into at any point in the future.
There's
Regardless
just nothing
of the
to
price.
do. There's just nothing to do with it.
It'll be one of them games though. In a couple of years, like it'll probably still be buggy, but it'll be a much better game probably in a couple of years. But by that,
You're not going to play it in a couple of years, though. I mean,
no, probably not.
It's not a game you're going to pick up.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably not. But
well, it reminds me of the actual game that I selected as the biggest disappointment, which is probably Sea of Thieves.
Oh god, yeah. Actually, yeah.
I forgot about that. Stop reminding me.
I know. It's like
I was going to get it, but then I heard what you guys said.
Oh, Ted, even if you've got Game Pass, it's not worth downloading for free. It's garbage.
Can I just say though, actually, we were talking about best moments of 2018. From that game was one of the best moments of 2018, and me, Matty, and Perch know exactly which moment it was on Sea of Thieves.
That's right.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was for me one of the best gaming moments.
You run into little groups, and you can shoot anyone you want, really. But this little group, me and Sud were, just having a bit of banter with them, playing the harmonica and the accordion or whatever. And then out of the corner of my eye, all I see is Perks appear out of the water and just literally point his pistol right at the side of this guy's head.
The guy playing that harmonica.
Just blows his brains out and then runs away back into the water.
It's the fact that you waited about 10 seconds before doing it. You waited like 10 seconds for your gun pointers, and he had no idea, the guy, whatsoever.
It was just great, but yeah, he literally was oblivious. He was dancing to the harmonica.
But it annoys me. It annoys me looking about at that with fondness, because it's like the game could have had potential.
Yeah,
there's elements of that game where it's like, yeah, this is good, an open world pirate game, and there's a lot of mechanics. Like the water is amazing, just sailing round. Like there's nothing to do, there's nothing in the water.
It really isn't.
But sailing around is amazing. Like the way the waves hit your ship, and it's just like really, really well done. The water physics are amazing, which you sort of need in a pirate game anyway. But just no content. I don't know who okayed that. It's like, right, okay, here's an hour of Sea of Thieves. What do you do? I don't know. You just sort of sail around for a bit, pick up some treasure.
Defeat skeletons over and over.
Well, skeletons are the only enemy.
Yeah.
Skeletons and sharks. The Kraken, I don't know if you've seen it, because
couldn't find it.
The Kraken's just floating tentacles.
Yeah, it doesn't even have a body.
No, it doesn't have a body.
It's ridiculous.
What they do is they make the sea very dark, so you can't see down. But somebody hacked the game and lit up the sea, and it's just floating tentacles. There's not even a body Kraken.
Lazy.
I think that's a good analogy for the game, though, isn't it?
Empty.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, I just remember me and Luke, literally, we were on this island for like an hour and a half searching for this treasure, and it was like some clue that you had to figure out, and it was the most ridiculous clue ever. And we never figured it out, and just pretty much put the game down. So
I still can't make my mind up if me and you are just stupid and couldn't do it, or the game is just that bad.
I mean,
it might be a mix of both.
I think the game purposely didn't give you direction because they knew that there was no content, and they were like, shit, if we actually tell people what they need to do or where the objective is properly, the game's going to last 5 minutes and people are going to realize that there's nothing to do. So I think they thought in their heads it'd trick people, let's sort of half tell people what the objective is, and literally all you're doing is going to a spot on an island and digging a chest out of the sand and taking it into your boat and then just taking it back to another island. It's boring, simple fetch quests with absolutely nothing, just no meat on the bones whatsoever. There's barely any bones to begin with. The bones are all fucking rotten. But there's
bones are all under the sand.
Like Sud said, I remember getting on that game with your Sud, and I was there like, oh my god, this looks really good actually.
The game looks great. I mean,
enjoying it. And then when we couldn't find that treasure, I think I remember turning around to you and saying, right, well, let's do something else. And you just didn't look at me, but your character looked back at me and you just said, I don't think there's anything else to do.
This is it. It's like, why, if we can't find this treasure on this island, this is it. There is nothing else to do.
So that was it. There you go.
And then I think we just started firing each other out of cannonballs, didn't we? After that, the cannons. That was it.
That was it. That was all that was left to do.
The writing was on the wall with that game in the beta. I mean, it's my, I hate to say I told you so moment of 2018, but we all played the beta, and straight away I turned around and said, guys, even for free, kind of, on Game Pass, this is a bad game. There is nothing to do. And,
you were right.
further down the line it releases and there is still nothing to do when the whole game comes out. It's
Mystic Perks.
Yeah. So,
well, a blind man could have saw it coming, to be honest. It was that bad. So I think let's move on from that. One that I'll throw out there is FIFA 19. For anyone who's a fan of sports games, FIFA as a series now we all think is going in the wrong direction anyway, but FIFA 19 was probably the final nail in the coffin as far as I'm concerned. I can't see myself going back to that series.
Don't believe you.
I thought it was better than 18 though.
Yeah, was it the individual game that was a disappointment though, or was it just a culmination of our personal
it's kind of like the straw that broke the
6 years
back.
straight? For a generic gamer who's just doesn't really play many football games or just plays career mode or kickoff, I imagine they probably wouldn't find FIFA 19 that appalling. They'd probably find it all right.
It's better than FIFA 18. I'd say that. I think that makes a slight improvement, but
the question is then, what was the best? Like, in your opinion, what do you think was the best FIFA? Because personally, for me, I think FIFA 14 I really enjoyed personally. And that was the last time I enjoyed a FIFA game.
FIFA 14 was the last really good one, I think.
Yeah, I think FIFA 09 was where it turned that corner. And it was just like FIFA 08 was sort of the one that started the new sort of game engine. You could see where it was going. FIFA 09 just nailed the formula, and then between 09 and 12, 13, all those games were pretty solid. Ultimate Team was on the rise every year, but as with everything, I think it's just been on a slow decline. That there's only so much FIFA, there's only so much Ultimate Team you can play before it's right, this is actually boring now. I've had enough.
That's the problem though, Matty, because what I've noticed that they do, and obviously you guys have as well, is that they do certain elements well, and then they'll get that right, and you'll be like, oh, finally, they've got the passing on point now. I'm enjoying this. It just seems to flow well. But the tackling's poor, so that needs to improve. So you'll then buy the next FIFA next year, and then the tackling will be brilliant. Then the passing will be poor, and you'll be like, why have you changed the passing? Keep it as it is. It's almost like they just don't speak to the players and ask them what they've enjoyed about the last one and what they should keep. They just seem to tweak the game a little bit every year. And for me now, I'm sick of it, because it's just you get good at the last year's version, and then you find that what you were good at is then they've changed elements of the game, and I just feel I get it. You've got to change the game in some ways to make it more enjoyable, but I don't think you should mess around with the gameplay too much. Personally, I think they should do stuff like new modes, new level, just new things you can do within the game, and improve the online experience, not just continually tweak the gameplay and just break it. It just doesn't make sense.
It feels like a reskin most years.
Yeah, I was about to lean into that. I think annual sports releases are slowly going to die. And I don't mean that they'll stop making FIFA, but I feel like FIFA, Madden, these type of games, they suit games as a service better than a £50 release. I feel you might just be paying, maybe not monthly for the game, but Ultimate Team mode or something like that will be free. Or if you want to update the kits or something, it costs money. They'll find some way to monetize it, obviously, but I think it suits games as a service better. I think that will be the future for FIFA, to be honest.
But are they going to change it? All the physical copies of the game still sell 20 million a year. I mean,
they do, but it is
the thing.
On the decline. I'm not saying all of a sudden FIFA's going to go games as a service tomorrow, but I feel in
a few years
goes on, that's the sort of future for these annual. Because I just don't think annualized games really are going to stick around for that much longer, because games as a service and instantly responding to consumer feedback is the way to go. Like, you've seen the success of Fortnite, and I know we keep coming back to this game, but it's just Epic are doing it right. You know, say the passing is broken on FIFA 10 or some element of the game is really bad, they can't fix it for an entire year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They can sort of tweak it and stuff, but everyone's going to have different versions of the game because not everyone's got the updates and stuff like that. With Fortnite, they had the sword in the game. So basically they had this giant sort of like infinity sword. It was ridiculously overpowered. Everyone had the sword at the end of the game. I got like 4 Battle Royale wins by just running around with the sword. So that pretty much says it all because I'm terrible at Fortnite. But yeah, that was taken out after 48 hours.
Yeah, they listen to feedback.
It's that instant. It's not like, oh yeah, that was taken out 6 months later when people are pissed off. It's like they literally took it out straight away, and it's being able to react instantly to like consumer feedback that keeps people playing that game. And I feel like obviously you can't get that with an annualized release.
Yeah, and the thing with FIFA is because it's an annualized release, they throw the demo out that's clearly unfinished, and then when you actually start playing the game, it's so buggy and glitchy, and then they end up patching up a load of the bugs, but then they just never improve it after that. It's just like, so if you're one of the people that buys FIFA, it's almost like a given it's just going to be glitchy and buggy because they've had to rush it out. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. And really, I mean, let's face it. I mean, all that really happens is that the game is reskinned, there's new kits and there's new players and transfers, but how easily could that be updated, as you said, Matty, with, you know, it just being like as an ongoing game that's just updated and tweaked based on actual feedback. But that's my opinion on it anyway. I just think, as you said, it just doesn't make sense in this day and age to release a game, throw it out, and then, you know, realize, okay, yeah, this aspect of the game is broken. Oh well, we're just gonna have to wait till next year to fix it.
I could definitely see what Matty said happening in the future, but I also agree with Sud that it'll have to be when the physical copies take a big decline before it happens.
Yeah, they won't. There's too much money in the actual disc sales, because obviously think about, you know, there's parents buying FIFA for their kids, isn't it, basically, to shut them up. There's a lot of, you know, and there's teenagers playing it that probably still, you know. So I think, you know, as they said, they make a lot of money off that. So until that tapers off, so to speak, probably won't see it happen.
I definitely agree. Do we have any more that anyone wants to throw out there for most disappointing game?
Obviously, I touched on Spyro before. I think there's probably not much more to say on that, being honest. But for me personally, that is my biggest disappointment, just because it was one of my favourite games as a kid, and just going back to it, I just didn't have that. I just remember playing it as a kid and being like getting stuck on levels, and then like figuring out how to do it, and then you just get that, you know, that enjoyment from actually figuring it out, or getting past a puzzle, or just finding that gem or that orb on the game, and you're like, you know, those are the moments in the game that you really enjoy. But I just found with the remastered version that there was no bugs in the game. It was just going through the motions, like, and I don't know whether it's the way they sort of structure it, where it sort of lets you know all the progress, and it seems like, as Matty said, it's just, you know, it's reskinned. They probably should have added. I do wish they did add a few new features in. Now, I haven't had the opportunity to play Ratchet and Clank. That's another brilliant game that I'd love to play. But I think, as Mike said, if they added in new things, it just would have kept it a bit more fresh. And yeah, I'd say after the first one, if you asked me if I just played the first one, and if you would have asked me, would it have been my biggest disappointment in 2018, I would have said no. But after playing all three and just feeling a little bit bored towards the end, then that's how I feel about it, unfortunately. So my brother played it and he feels the same. So
nostalgia is a powerful thing. Sometimes, you know, things don't live up to what you remember as a kid.
Hell of a drug.
How about then, we'll move on to the final topic. How about, which game are we most looking forward to in 2019?
There's a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've got a few.
Are we just going to go first half of the year? Because that's like all the stuff with like actual solid release dates.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
It's up to you. Hey, it's your 2019 choice.
It's tough, isn't it? Because you've got things like The Last of Us Part 2 where it's like, well, who knows if that's coming out next year and stuff.
Days Gone definitely is, but I don't know if anyone's looking forward to that. It's been delayed.
Personally, for me, I've been replaying the original Crackdown, and I just honestly, it's brilliant. Like playing it around the second time, it's just 10 years on. Or
Ted's about to say he's looking forward to Crackdown 3.
He is. Ted,
I am.
You could be looking forward to Crackdown 3, but I've got to warn you now to temper your expectations, because that game, from like all the gameplay videos that I've seen, looks like it's going to be a fucking abomination. Like,
well, that's the thing, because I hated Crackdown 2.
It looks worse than Crackdown 2.
No, it won't be worse. I can't see it being worse than Crackdown 2.
Right, how much? Right, I'm going on Metacritic now. How much did Crackdown 2 get?
It was bad. It got like a 60 something. I think
they get to worse.
It was
Crackdown 2.
I don't think it will. I think it'll be bad, and I don't think it'll be as good as the first one. But I don't think it'll be as bad as Crackdown 2. Crackdown 2 was terrible. No, I mean, the fact that he gets to play as Terry Crews, I mean, that gives it an advantage over Crackdown 2 for a start.
Right. Crackdown 2, 70 on Metacritic. So
I think Crackdown will get.
We'll give it 2 weeks after the release of Crackdown 3, and we'll see what Metascore it's got. That's a fair.
I think it'll be better.
I just think the problem with Crackdown 2 for me was I didn't like the fact they introduced zombies as the main thing. I just think it went too far off. It went too far off what the game stood for. Personally, which was taking down crime bosses, not killing zombies.
And collecting orbs, of course.
Yeah, obviously collecting orbs, that is like one of the most fun part of the game.
Yep.
But Crackdown 2, I just thought that it just got it wrong there. So from what I've seen, it just looks as though they're going a bit more down that original route, and hopefully they will. But obviously I haven't seen extensive gameplay, so hopefully you're wrong and it's good, but who knows.
I think
time will tell.
I don't want games to be bad. I just know this one will be.
How about ones then that we're actually looking forward to?
Well, I mean, I think, yeah.
Well, I was until obviously,
Well, as if you like, you've got Kingdom Hearts, you got Devil May Cry, you got Metro, you got Rage.
Devil May Cry 5 for me is.
Is Gears 5 coming out this
Yeah, Gears 5 is this year. Yeah. Good. I think Devil May Cry 5's for the first half of the year for me is one of the most ones I'm looking forward to the most. It looks, from what I've seen so far, it looks like it's back to Devil May Cry 4 standards, which I know a lot of people thought that I actually like DMC, the reboot, but I know a lot of people hated it. But I think 5 will be really good. I've got a lot of faith in that game to be good. It looks
There's a
good.
demo as well on the Xbox store if you want to play it.
Yeah, I haven't actually played it. I don't know if I kind of don't want to play it in a way. But
yeah, what the gameplay is going to be like.
I think I'll like it. I've liked all the other Devil May Cry games. So
I'm surprised you're not looking forward to Sekiro.
No, I am. Yeah, I think.
I'm surprised that's not ahead of Devil May Cry, to be honest with you.
I'm a bit more like my expectations are a bit more in check for that one, because I know it's from Software, and obviously, I love Dark Souls and stuff like that. But obviously, this is going to be more like a Tenchu type game, isn't it? So I'm interested to see what it's like. But no, I need to get to that because I have got it. I just haven't played it.
It'll be kind of like that, I think.
I'm sure it'll be a good game. I'm sure it'll be really good.
I think the one I'm looking forward to the most, personally, is Anthem.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Anthem as well.
Because I think we mentioned it maybe a couple of weeks ago, Sud, about BioWare's future, which is why I'm looking forward to it.
This game pretty much is their future, isn't it? In terms of, it either makes their future or breaks their future. Yeah, because
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they announced Dragon Age, didn't they, at the Game Awards? Well, I think actually it was before. Was it after the Game Awards? Whatever.
No, it was during, wasn't it?
They did a little teaser, didn't they? But I think if Anthem flops, that game doesn't come out, as far as I'm concerned. So,
yeah, I'm with you.
I hope it doesn't flop. I am worried about it a little bit. I don't know if people are as interested as BioWare need them to be for it to be good, or not to be good, but for it to be interesting enough for people to play. But we'll see.
Yeah.
What are people's thoughts on the Division 2? I mean, that looks like it could be a surprise sort of. I don't know. It looks like something I'd really enjoy, but
yeah,
apparently they improved it a lot when it first came out. It was like a mess or something.
Yeah, it was a mess when it first came out. I played it when it first came out. It wasn't good at all. But Division 2 looks all right. But I think we alluded to this on a previous podcast. I think with Anthem and Division 2, you can only pick one of them because they're both the same type of game. So, Anthem to me looks much more interesting. I prefer the space sort of setting. I prefer that Destiny space type setting rather than the Division's sort of boots on the ground style game. So
I'm with you there.
I think Anthem for me is the one. I don't know if I'll play Division 2, to be honest.
I think personally, I think the Division 2 is going to suffer. Like we've touched on this before, like the guys already mentioned in the space with Anthem and Destiny 2 already existing. I think if those games weren't a thing and the Division existed in its own space, then we'd all be jumping into that together, and I think we'd all spend a lot of time on it. But it's probably going to be bottom of the pile in the shared world genre, and I just don't see it doing that well. I'm not saying it's going to fall off a cliff, but I can see it ending up in last place.
What's your most anticipated game, Perks?
It's hard to say. I mean, I think I've got a few. Anthem would obviously be one I'm really looking forward to as a big shared world shooter fan. The other two that I'm going to throw out there that haven't been mentioned yet are the Resident Evil 2 remake.
Resident Evil 2, yeah.
And that looks really good. There's a lot of gameplay already out there that, a lot of sites have got the hands-on early
about 3 weeks
footage. Yeah, exactly. So it actually looks very, very good, and they had the confidence to show it off quite extensively. I think there's about an hour or so of gameplay available. That looks really cool, and they seem to have done a really good job of recapturing the sort of old setting in a new style Resident Evil, which is great. And the other one is Doom Eternal. It's not going to be one of the games of the year, but the most recent Doom I thought was a really good game, and I'm just looking forward to Eternal as well as a solid sort of 10-hour experience.
Yeah, that will be a great game. I'm skeptical whether it'll come out next year, but if it does,
I think it will.
I'm pretty confident about that. I do think it will be.
The only reason I'd say maybe not is because Rage 2 is coming out in May, so it's a very similar type game.
Yeah,
not the same, but it's I don't think they'll release them. If Doom comes out, it'll be later in the year, I think.
Yeah, and it's
maybe
not going to be
October, November.
It's not going to be first quarter by any means, but I think it's one of those games that I think, with the ones that I've picked and talked about today so far, I'm not saying it's a unique game or a niche game, but it's something sort of away from the massive heavy hitters, and it's something a bit more, different to just Fortnite or Red Dead's and all the massive titles. So I'm looking forward to that to break up whatever multiplayer game we're into at the time.
I'm surprised you didn't think about Devil May Cry 5. You are a big Devil May Cry fan.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the Devil May Cry series. I think even the games that people have said haven't been so good, I've still really enjoyed. So Devil May Cry 5 is one that I'm certainly going to jump into, and I'm sure it will deliver. It always does.
Yeah, I know one that's kind of, I wouldn't say gone on the radar, but I think Metro Exodus could be a surprise hit. I do think that game looks very good. And
surprise hit, it'll be game of the year.
It could well be. I think the game could. I think it's what I mean by surprise hit is I can see the game not selling very well or doing very well, but I think in terms of critical response, I think it could do really well. The other two I know you're a fan of the other two, Matty. Metro 2033 and Last Light. They were very good games. And that developer just seems like it's on the up.
They've had a lot of time to develop it. It's been in development for a long time. So they've had a lot of time. They've had a lot of lessons learned from the other ones as well. Obviously, they've released Last Light and Metro 2033 on the current hardware as well. So they've got that as like previous experience. So I just think it ticks all the right boxes, that game.
Definitely. I think the atmosphere of that game is so good as well. It's one of the most atmospheric games I've played. It's fantastic for that, if you like them sort of atmospheric type games.
But sort of first half of the year, obviously I think we've touched on most of the games in the first half of the year. Metro was my most anticipated game in that first half of the year, but also one that's coming out this month that I'm not sure if anyone's interested in is Kingdom Hearts.
Not personally, no.
A lot of interest in that game.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it'll sell bucket loads. I'm sure there's a lot of interest in it. I've never really played it. I think I've played bits and pieces of the first two on PS2.
The story's so convoluted though. I don't feel like you.
Is it like a Final Fantasy? I haven't
Pretty much.
A little bit. It's more of an action RPG than sort of turn based, but it's just like it's hard to explain. It's an action RPG with Disney characters. Basically.
It'll have the same story style as a
better
Final Fantasy.
version of Dynasty Warriors.
No, not really. It has got the similar style to Final Fantasy in terms of the way it tells its story and things like that. It's got them very like cheesy-esque type moments in it, like Final Fantasy does. But
that game has been in development for
ages, literally 6-7 years, isn't it? Maybe more.
Pretty much since the start of the generation, if
not
longer.
I think the big one is Last of Us Part 2, isn't it? If that comes out or not, because I'm pretty sure. Well, most of us would be interested in playing that. I mean, I definitely would.
Yeah,
we all would for sure.
I think that's The Last of Us is a great game. I personally prefer the Uncharted franchise to The Last of Us. The Last of Us is a great game. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah,
and I'd look forward to the sequel because that's the game. It's not even a doubt, is it? It's a bit like Red Dead Redemption 2. Before it came out, it's going to be good. The Last of Us 2 is going to be good. There's no doubt about it, really.
And there's another one as well that's coming out next year on Sony's side, Death Stranding.
Again, though, I wouldn't.
What is it going to be?
Yeah, that's the killer question with that game.
No idea.
There's random floating people with like Psycho Mantis masks, oil,
babies,
bunch of crabs, babies getting thrown around everywhere. No one knows what's going on apart from Kojima. I don't even think he knows what's going on anymore.
I was just about to say the same thing.
I have just thought of another one as well that would interest us. The Star Wars game from Respawn is coming out, isn't it, at the end of the year? Is it Jedi Fallen Order? Yeah, apparently it's rumoured it's supposed to be coming out. Yeah, end of 2019.
Vince Van Pella said it was like going to have I think he said that you'll see more at next year's E3, but I can't remember. If
the time slot would make sense though for it to come out next year because they don't have a Battlefield game coming out.
And obviously there's a Star Wars film as well. So
there's a Star Wars film. I'm pretty sure. I know it's called Fallen Order, and it's being made by Respawn.
It's called Jedi Fallen Order or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
that is definitely something I'd be interested in. But
Titanfall, was really good. So Titanfall 2 especially was really good if you played that. I mean, so I'd be definitely interested in that game. I think they've got the potential to make a really good Star Wars game.
Did anyone ever play the old Dead or Alive games? Because the new ones.
Oh yeah, number 6 is coming out, isn't it? Yeah.
Dead or Alive 6, and I used to play that on the PS2.
I don't think that.
I quite enjoyed it. I quite enjoyed it, being honest. So I'm not. I haven't seen too much about it.
I think the problem with that game is, Ted, that most people that like that game like it for one reason only. And I think we mostly know what that is. The problem is
no wonder a younger Ted liked it.
They've censored 6 a lot more, haven't they? They've gone from they've gone from more sort of, conservative approach, shall we say, to the costumes.
No,
right. I say that's what it is because that's off Ted's list.
No nostalgia with this one. Goodbye.
Played with the women anyway.
Well, anyway, guys, I think before we go, I've got one final question. And it's related to movies. Which one are you most looking forward to, Avengers or Star Wars?
Avengers.
I'm actively scared of watching Star Wars. I don't want to watch it. I know it's going to be so shocking. They're going to have like a CGI animatronic Princess Leia. Like I don't know what's going to be going on. Like I don't know. They're just a joke. Spoiler alert for people who for some reason haven't watched Star Wars, but you've got Mark Hamill floating around as a ghost because apparently you can just kill yourself by disappearing. I don't know why you haven't thought of doing that yourself, Perks. You're always plotting these suicide methods. Why don't you just disappear? Stare into the sun and you just start floating for a minute and just
meditate
disappear.
On a rock and just disappear.
If I sat in the sun for as long as he did, I think I would disappear. I think on the Star Wars point on whether or not I'm looking forward to, I actually am, because I can't wait to see that part of the series die.
You can't wait to
move on to new things. Yeah,
no, you're just looking to see my face at the end of it. That's all you want to see. You just want to see me shaking.
God, I'm worried.
The fact that it comes out on December the 21st as well, we have to wait an entire year. And we know it's going to be disappointing.
You know your Christmas is ruined.
My biggest memory of the last Star Wars film was literally, you know, when they were saying that your mum joke at the start in the
awful.
Star Destroyer. I literally turned around in slow motion to Perks, and he just looked at me at the same time, and we both were like, "Right, we know this is going to be shit now."
That was a sign of things to come for that film.
just like,
When you heard that joke, you were like, "Oh no, what's? Oh no, this isn't."
Why is there a
this
your
isn't
mum
good.
joke in the Star Wars galaxy?
I don't know.
Or universe?
I just
What is going on?
They got that humour from 20 years ago.
yeah.
Terrible.
I think you've literally forgotten a movie that could be brilliant, though. Toy Story 4.
True.
Yeah, I'll go along with that.
Coming off the back of the best Toy Story film, Toy Story 3 as well. So
The original Toy Story is
Toy
the best.
Story 4 escaped the recycling bin.
I hope Thingy comes back from the dead. What was his name? Watso the bear from Toy Story 3.
Because every Toy Story's been brilliant. Like, you normally expect it to start tapering off around the second or third, you know, as they run out of ideas. But
it's improved.
Hopefully I haven't just jinxed the fourth one, but, you know, I'm
Definitely have.
Yeah. Ted's jinx. Well,
touch wood.
well, guys, we'll have to leave it there. That's the end of the show for this week. Where can people find you on the social medias, Sud?
On Twitter at David10Spud.
Lovely stuff. We already know Perks is at Corpse. I've already searched on Twitter, and there is an account called at Corpse.
Hopefully it's a popular one.
No, it's not.
Well, it will be now.
Well, yeah,
that's
it'll
true.
get an extra 3 or 4 views.
Yeah, we'll make it popular.
Yeah, all from us.
Yeah.
And the podcast finished.
Where can people find you, Matty?
Matty Cheatham on Twitter and Instagram. Just one word.
Perfect. Then how about you, Ted?
Well, I'm mainly Twitter, so at Ted Parry 1.
There you go. Visit there for more Ted jinxes.
We'll see.
Yeah, and you can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Leld. Just add a 9 at the end on Instagram. And you can also follow Checkpoint Reached on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at CheckReachPod. And then we're also on YouTube, Checkpoint Reach Podcast. So give us a like and subscribe, please. Yeah, so it's been an enjoyable episode, that, guys, and Happy New Year to all of you.
Happy New Year to everyone and all our viewers.
New year of gaming.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot to talk about, I'm sure.
Hopefully.
I'm sure there will be. All right, guys, have a good one. Bye.
See you.
Bye.
Thank you.